Welcome to Phoenix Rising with Dr. Z. This podcast is all about conversations about healing and rising from the ashes of your grief and trauma. I'm your host, Dr. Christina Zampatella. It is my sincere hope that this podcast is going to give you the words and the understanding to help you heal through your grief and trauma.
What dad can't be anymore.
In his family.
In this fantasy world.
In this fantasy world.
In the family, he does it a little bit less because mom has done a really good job of making it clear that that's her role. Oh. Mom's doing a really kick-butt job of, making it clear that you are a child. You're 6, you do your thing.
You do you.
You just do the school thing and the have fun thing, and you don't worry about saving.
Is he acting out? Because behaviorally, so it's in their play, it's in their art, and it's in their behavior. So when he plays with other kids or siblings, I don't know if he has siblings or whatever, what would we see in play?
It depends on who he's playing with. He has a younger sibling,
okay,
and his younger brother is very protective. That he is, big brother master. He doesn't let his little brother get hurt. When his little brother, I think so a client's about 6, his brother's about maybe 2-ish, and he'll go to jump off the couch and he goes, we gotta set up all of the pillows, and then he'll try and catch him on the way down so that he softens the blow, and they'll all come together as a family, and he always points it out.
He softens the blow. That's such a metaphor.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. But at school, he's rebellious, and he's like, gotta be the cool kid. So he'll act out, and he's got a couple behaviors that we had to talk about as far as like, what do we do when these emotions come up? What do we do when we feel pressured to do something we're not really okay with, like that peer pressure kind of a thing? What makes a friend versus a person that is trying to make you do something you're not comfortable with?
Right.
But it depends on where he's at and who he's with. Like at home, he'll take on that role a lot more. He used to get more defiant with mom when dad had just left. I think more out of that rebellion of, if I rage enough, dad will come back and we'll go back to our normal routine. But then he kind of got used to it as we moved through, as we talked about those drawings. Now we moved through, and as he shared those little moments that he is still getting with his dad and those little kind of watched interactions that he gets with him. But it depends where he's at and who they're with and what I think they think their expectation is.
Might you see with some people, let's not, not this, saying in
general.
Might you see children like in school, for example, acting out on the playground, acting out with the teachers, acting out in their families, so that's a role shift, which is a form of not acting out, but shifting in understanding who they are in the world at the age that they're capable at, right? So what about in other ways might we see that, like in other environments, or in
everything
their
all
schoolwork?
Depends. You're going to get annoyed because my answer is all going to be, it depends.
Well, we got to give our
I do have answers, I promise.
Okay. Yeah, I believe.
You'll see a lot of acting out. It's expected at that age. They just don't know what to do with the big feelings. So it can come out in school. Typically it's divided along gender lines, but I see everything out of every kid. I really think it depends on the child.
Okay.
Females tend to be a little bit more withdrawn, spacey, daydreamy. They'll go into more of that dissociative, disconnected kind of state with it. It's really similar to their ADHD presentation.
I was just thinking that.
Which is just wild because they go under the radar so often.
Oh my God, you just read my mind.
Because they just sit in class and they're kind of...
And they're like, oh, she's daydreaming. No, actually,
she is having a problem.
Like, neurobiologically, her brain is... So
she's
now,
on Mars in a bad way.
Right, and hence... Okay, so I know I'm sidetracking real quick, little drop. So now, if we've got people who don't understand these differences, now you've got a kid who might be getting evaluated for ADHD, for the inattentive type of ADHD, and then, oh yeah, she's got inattentive type of ADHD. Yeah, but, her mom just went on a deployment. This
she's grieving. Yeah,
this happened to me in California when I was independently practicing. I had a person bring her child in. Her child had, all of a sudden he was acting out. He was, not paying attention in school. He was hurting other kids, blurting things out, everything. And I'm talking to her and, doing that, your intake.
General, yeah.
And I'm like, what has changed since then? Oh, well, his father went on deployment, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, whoa, wait. Pause. So before that, things were cool? No, things are fine. But I said, so after that, all this acting out came. Yes. And the school's telling you, well, they can't tell you, but so to speak, they tell you, go get an evaluation. She said, yeah. And I was like, I'm thinking it's probably not ADHD. I think this is a grief response. I will do your evaluation for you just so you've gone through the hoops and all of that. But I want to make it clear, I don't know how this is going to come out. And sure as shit, I did the evaluation, and of course it wasn't ADHD in this case. Sometimes it is.
In that specific, and maybe it's comorbid, but that's something to decide
comorbid,
maybe after this grief has been a little bit.
At the same time.
Yes.
Right.
No, that's good.
Yeah. Well, no, and I mean, and they can exacerbate each other and all the things. Absolutely. So that's one of the things that's hardest about our job, is trying to figure out what the heck is going on and what do I treat based on what's presenting, because there's so much overlap.
What's really happening.
What is really
they
happening.
all kind of look, well, especially like
so in this case,
ADHD, major depressive disorder, and generalized anxiety disorder,
trauma,
right, OCD, all kind of have that very similar presentation of well, not presentation, symptoms, but different presentations.
Right.
And we're all like, I really think trauma is a connecting thread through all of these.
Oh, I don't disagree with that. And
the longer I go with the education that I got at Jefferson, just knowing how it impacts your brain and the way that your brain will store it, the way that your body holds on to it, and then the way that informs your experiences moving forward. I really feel like there's a big tie between trauma and all of those
I couldn't
diagnoses.
agree with you anymore.
It's just the way
that's going
you
to be another topic.
Function and experience your life.
We're coming back.
And it's shaping with trauma.
So you're coming back next weekend, and we're going to go ahead and do that one.
I'll talk all day about the trauma thing.
I really think we need to. Because we don't talk about childhood trauma.
Me and Marcus talk about it almost every supervision.
How could you not?
Because it just keeps coming up. And then the more clients I see that are like, I think I have OCD. It's a trauma response. It's your intrusive thoughts. It's flashbacks coming back for you.
Well, and you're trying to control that which you cannot control. Okay, let's go back.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So we were at, but the ADHD presentations.
ADHD, yes.
100%. And it's the same for boys. Like the fact that you saw that in grief and his ADHD presentation, it'll kind of flip-flop. That's a connection we made in this moment.
And that's a non-death related loss. That was dad went on deployment.
Yeah.
But at that age,
same.
dad wasn't there.
Same difference.
I mean,
he can't be here to hold it.
Yeah, I think the kid was 6 years old. Because that was the youngest I would go. I know that you can go to 5, 6.
And time is so forever at that age. Like when you're 6, it's like he could be gone a week and it feels like forever.
Oh my God, I got this story. So I got this kid. I had a friend of mine. We are no longer in communication. Because it's pre-marriage. We'll just put it that way. So he had a 3-year-old daughter at the time. And we were talking about bedtime and all the things that he does in order to get her prepared for bed. And, how, he'll give her a heads up and, she'll protest up against that. Doesn't want to go. If you tell me to go to bed at 6, I'm like, peace out.
I'm going.
I'm going if you insist. But no, she's going to argue that she wants to be up. And he goes, okay, well, you've got 10 minutes. And she went, no, 5. And he's like, you got it.
Deal.
That is a deal. But I mean, that's the point, right?
Of time.
No concept of time. So there is no coming back, right? There's no sense that you're gone forever.
Understanding.
That it's not reversible. Okay, so moving forward, as they're getting a little bit older, right? Now they're starting to have this like moral development that starts to kick in, because we develop in different developmental ways, physically, emotionally, intellectually, morally, all the things, right? So, things are very black and white. They're right and wrong.
Yep, we have good guys and we have bad guys.
We have good guys and bad guys. So, what do you end up seeing in behaviors and in like art and play with kids around that age, 7, 8-ish?
7 to 9 is the gang age in art therapy because they call it the gang age. And
Gang
it's my
as
favorite
Gang,
thing.
and that's your favorite?
It's my favorite thing
right.
to talk about. It's not my
Okay.
favorite thing to be in.
Okay.
It is so judgmental. This is when kids learn to compare and they figure out that someone can be better at something and someone can be worse at something. And this unlock of judgment is like very intense.
So how would that play itself out with grief and trauma?
Grief, it can become, you really got to keep an eye on the shame in those years. With judgment comes the ability to realize that you can be bad and that you might, and if that shame comes up and you have this belief through the previous years of this is my fault, I'm the reason mom went away, and then we unlock self-judgment and that shame and guilt and blame, you can really see a child double down on it and feel as though they are the reason that bad things happen in the world, that loss occurred. It's got just enough of that imaginative play yet to not really have a limit. So you really got to make sure that you're giving them positive affirmations. You're building them up. You are making those scaffolds. And they're going to push back and be a little smart about it.
Right.
Because that's their defense mechanisms. That's what they know to do. If they can admit that they are bad before you call them bad, nothing is wrong because they know already. It's like that I'm rubber, you're glue kind of mentality of like, I'm already, like I'll have kids that age come in and go, I can't draw. Homeboy, neither can I.
The only person who cannot draw is me.
Like,
stick figures.
And stick figures are valid. That
They're
counts.
valid.
It's a drawing.
It's totally drawing.
That's a drawing.
And it's not even really about the final product.
It's so
the
not.
process.
It's so not. How big did you make that stick person?
Right.
What color did you choose to represent it? Does your stick person have a dress? Is it a triangle stick person? Is it like just a really stick person? Did you give it hair? What kind of face does it have? Is there anything in the background? Is he floating in the middle of a page and he's open in space, or is he huge and the whole thing? He's got both feet firm on the ground.
There's a family over here. He's here. There's the missing person over here. All the things,
it's
right?
all connected.
Yeah.
So it's all it's more about also the progress that is happening while they're making it and the processing that is going on in naming it and putting it down, and allowing them to have that creative expression that through play, through art, through music, some kind of creative outlet for it lets it flow out so much easier.
Okay.
Because the whole time they're going through this process, they're developing language and they're developing understanding of what emotions are in general. Like, that 2 to 5 kind of range is so much. You have to give them choices, options. Like you'll see it come out in the play, but they couldn't tell you, I am frustrated in this moment.
So
like,
not too many choices though.
Limited.
You don't want to say, like if you're helping a kid going through it, you can do this, or you can do this. You want to be like 2.
I leave it to 2 all the time.
All the time.
And then if there's more, I will just go from there. So like, do we want markers or paints today? And if we go with markers, we go, okay, do we want the shiny markers or do we want the normal markers?
Okay.
We'll go with normal. Cool. And then I go, size of paper. I have big paper, little paper.
This
just
is
do
really
the whole
important,
time.
though, for parents and adults, and because some would be like, just let them go and do all the things they need to do.
Overwhelming.
And it's overwhelming.
It's so
right?
much all
so
at once.
you want to provide. I'm hearing you say there needs to be some containing.
There needs to be a pacing to it.
There needs to be a pacing. And
you
a
need to slow it
dosing.
down for them.
Slow it down, and then just not as much. So slow and not as much. So pacing and dosing.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So, and then as they do, move into
And then,
this more...
as we get into this more vocabulary-based...
yeah.
You can start to really push it with them and stretch it, where I'll start to have them name things, and we'll start to introduce more of like... not the adult emotion wheel, but a more in-depth emotional wheel, as opposed to like where I might do happy face, sad face, angry face, and like see where we sit in those 3. We'll get a little bit more of maybe like the sheet of 9, where we get embarrassed in there and we get frustrated in there, and we're getting a little bit more of that nuance of emotion.
Okay.
But so much of it still is just going to come out in how they play and how they
What will that look like,
and,
though? What will that... I mean, if in grief and trauma, what would you see maybe in some people, I'm learning your language, in some people sometimes ish.
Depending on their situation.
But I mean, in general, what are some things we can look for?
You'll see a lot of protective themes. You'll see a lot of either them making themselves. I have a client right now who builds himself up into a 20-foot tall dragon hybrid fighting anime man that can spit fire. And he's got a whole crew of henchmen on a big boat, and no one can touch him.
I'm super doing that myself. In the
season. I love it.
Don't you? I want to be the.
I love it.
I can do that.
It is so cool.
I would totally be a big dragon.
And he gets to that island. Oh, and when he stays on this island, and then as we get to the island, there's a family there, and there's a mom, and mom is gone, and there's a dad, and there's one little kid. Even though he's got a sister, and they don't really get along, but he's there. And then you dive into that family dynamic a little bit. So like you'll see it come out in these behind the scenes ways where he might talk about it, but he's going to have you focus on his big scary dragon and how I am protected and I am covered and I am good and I am untouchable, because the reality is that he is just so lost and vulnerable in the grief in this moment.
Okay.
But when you let him get that out and you go, yes, no one defeats you. You are an undefeated 20-foot tall dragon monster. No one can touch you. We start talking about the island. And then the family comes up and out. And mom had this hat on. Mom happened to die of cancer. And so mom had this hat on in the drawing. And it was her special hat. And she was bigger than everybody else on that island. Just because. But that size in art is important.
Yeah.
So that just shows how big a place in his heart that he has for her. And then you see he's in between the mom in this photo and this small child in this photo and then this dad in this photo. But when he's telling me about the family dynamics, dad does all of the caretaking roles. Dad is feeding. Dad is clothing him.
So he's recognizing that dad has taken on more of these roles.
He's seeing that shift. And mom is out on an adventure in this island. And so we explore it through that. And I just take that creative lens and push it as far as he'll let me before he kind of catches on. And then he'll catch on and he'll switch to another topic. And he'll go, okay, I want to play the matching game. And then
that's
we do.
what you see, right? I mean, you'll see in kids almost across the age range that they'll switch subjects real quick.
Dip in. They will dip in and out when they are ready.
And it does not mean just because you haven't heard it, for a week or two, I think he's gotten better. No. But we do hope to see things. But how do we know when a child is healing from grief, from a loss? What are some things that we'll see? You'll
start to see secure attachment activities
come
back
mean,
out.
Though,
so for secure attachment, that means they know they have at least one, hopefully multiple, grown individuals that love them, that are safe people for them, that will support them and maybe offer guidance. It can be correction in those moments, like that really firm parenting figure where they know they can be held and guided and also supported as they get pushed out.
Okay.
So you'll start to see them maybe ask for your help or ask for your comfort. You'll start to see them come up and ask questions about it and explore it, but the activity won't be behind it. You won't see the pain as much, as intensely behind it. It's more of a curiosity. You'll start to see them ask for connection again. If they were isolating and if they were more that dissociative type, you'll see them start to branch out and request those kinds of interactions again. Or maybe they'll start to ask for photos, keepsakes, memories, ways to hold on to them. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you have that more explosive kind of approach to it, where if I can rage against this new normal hard enough, I'll get the old one back. You might see, as they're starting to heal from their grief, the hurt come out, the sad come out, the weak that they're protecting come out, that request for that support still, that help me through this, that answer my questions, that what do we do now?
Right. So being able to look forward to the future, being able to feel like it seems like they're not acting out as much. Maybe they're played, and maybe there's
more
stability
appropriate,
at school.
Requests for that.
Yeah, okay.
As opposed to, I'll go to a regressive phase and throw my 2 to 3 year old tantrum. I'll act more my age and I will have hey mom, I'm sad.
Right.
What do we do with that?
Okay. How can parents and teachers and therapists, how can we help? because that child is going to revisit that loss as they're getting older and they're understanding the loss more and more
in
over
different
time.
ways. Yeah,
It's like a new layer, right? And just like us as adults.
Oh, you get a little bit deeper in it.
You
Yeah,
get
I
a little
mean,
deeper.
really, your brain isn't fully mature until like 25.
25.
So.
And then it's all your shit down after that. I'm screwed, man. I'm
It'll
52.
just-
That's it. I'm halfway. I'm almost half twice. Whatever. I'm not half, but whatever. My body. Anyway, moving on. So, they'll revisit it as they continue to understand
It'll bubble
different
back
aspects up. Okay, so we need to understand. We need to have I think I'm hearing you say, we need to look at this from a bigger picture.
Yeah.
Parents need to be
Take a step
taught,
back.
or whoever, family members or whatever, need to be able to say, oh, all of a sudden now they're acting out again. Yeah, but developmentally they might be understanding things differently, and they're not even tying it into what's going on.
Oh, they have no
consciously.
Oh my gosh, we see adults that don't know half of the responses that they're having are connected to grief,
So
and then
what
we
do
get a child, and they're just
nothing.
like,
Yeah,
"Ooh,
boom."
I'm just experiencing. You have 9 years under your belt. Like, you have no clue why you're acting out. You just know you're more upset that day.
So we could fall into, because we can't also let bad acting out behaviors. I won't say bad,
You can't enable it.
You can't enable it. You can't allow people to get hurt and stuff like that. But we also need to identify it. So how do you find that balance between, you see behaviors again, you may not even link it to the fact that they're picking back up, but
especially at school, your first instinct is just kind of like prevent,
right. Oh, you're going to go to the guidance counselor, right? Yeah. And then, right, so we want to stop it, right? Which, of course, we don't want other people hurt. We don't want them hurt. So that's a fine line. I mean, I guess the first line of thinking for me is like, people need to be educated about this, and we're in a culture that doesn't, hence why we're doing what we're doing right now in hopes that this kind of stuff gets out there as much as possible. But I mean, nobody's taking parenting class. It's not required. You don't have to take it. You don't have to take it. You can be a parent before you're even allowed to legally drink. I mean, the bottom line is we're not even, in a place where people understand. So I guess we're not going to fix it, right? We're not going to fix it overnight. So what are some really important, like if you had to boil it down to, like, let's say 4 of the most important things that would be helpful for people who care for children who are grieving and will be grieving, obviously rest of their lives, but, are developmentally having to deal with this stuff. What might be 4 of the best things that you can think of? Not the only ones, but
I don't even know if I need 4. So much of it is presence and attunement, is being, and so I'll have 3. I might be able to come up with a 4th one for you.
I guess maybe describing attunement and presence is important, because I don't think those are singular concepts. Okay.
I really think presence is important. You have to be able to be there and hold it with an open and non-judgmental idea. Kids say weird stuff. They don't know it's weird because they don't have the social cues and contracts and all of the experiences under them. So like, they might ask you really scary, really interesting questions about the death, and they might really want to know how it happened and why it happened and what does cancer do to the body, or what does this car accident look like? And they might get into some of those things that feels inappropriate or feels wrong to share or discuss.
Was their body crushed? Was there a lot of blood?
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. They want to know those visceral details because they're feeling it viscerally.
Okay.
So you have to make sure that you're in your gut and in that way you're talking to them, able to take it in with curiosity and not giving back that, why would you ask that? Because all they're going to learn from that is, I don't talk about this.
Right.
So you want to stay in that open, curious headspace of, why are we asking that? What is making this come up? And how do I answer this in a way that they're gonna understand it and isn't inherently re-traumatizing it? Like, how do we touch on this with that balance of, you can understand this, but you're also old enough to hold that and it's not a re-traumatization? Because if the 3 or 4-year-old comes up and wants to know the details of a gruesome traumatic death.
Right.
I might not be giving them all of the visceral, gory details yet, but we might review in general what car accidents are or what tragedies are.
Give me an example of that.
So I guess if we go into car accidents, we might talk about, this is a 2-ton metal vehicle. This takes you from one place to another.
It's a very heavy object.
Very heavy object.
Okay.
Very hard to move, very hard to stop once it gets going. And when two hit each other, and you can kind of explain it through, like, if I might squish 2 pillows together and show them how my hands cushion in and just do general, like a baby physics lesson almost. Like if we crash these 2 things together and maybe one breaks. Like I have a lot of plastic cups, and when we do the painting with them, if one breaks, we always talk about kind of what that means.
You mean Legos. You know, bang, and one pieces of it fall off.
Flies over here.
All right.
Yeah, like kind of, so like you can understand now the concept of 2 objects in motion. When they meet, will end that motion or it will continue, and you understand the concept of what a crash is now. But I won't tell you that what happens to a body in that, maybe. Just kind
of. What if they ask?
What happens to a body in it?
So
what do you think? It's usually what I throw back at a child.
I do that for people now.
I love throwing back. What do you think?
Happy to answer that, but help me understand what makes you ask that question. So, all right, what if they come back and go, they get squished?
They get squished.
I don't know. I'm throwing.
They get squished. If they aren't freaking out in that moment where they go, they get squished, and I'm not seeing them internalize what that is, then they get squished.
Okay, so if they get squished, then what happens?
Then they're gone.
So we're not going into all of the detail, is what I'm hearing you say.
And then we step into that next. Like, if they went to the hospital after that, that's when they went to the hospital, and then the doctors tried to put them together again. Another really good metaphor for these, if you don't even want to go into that as far as how many details you go, you can kind of relate it to stories. Like, if there's a fairy tale that meets it close enough, or if you have a way to make this a fantastical story for them to engage with. Like Humpty Dumpty is a good one for car accidents because of just the amount of pieces flying apart, the amount of people that come to afterwards to come and put them back together and help, and the firemen that show up and the policemen that show up, and those are all of your king's horses and king's men's, and like so many. Also, fairy tales are orphans.
Yeah,
and just there's so much grief and loss.
Yeah,
in
Hansel and Gretel, those were brutal.
Grimm was dark.
Grimm was dark. There's another thing I was thinking. First of all, don't use euphemisms. You know, grandmom's asleep. Yeah, if you.
No.
Yeah, don't use, because try to get that kid to sleep.
Yeah.
There's a story I had about a woman who had told her son, because the father had died in a motorcycle accident, and she said, "Oh yeah, Dad's in the sky, in the clouds, and he's riding his motorcycle." What do you think happened when they got on the airplane?
Got binoculars.
They're looking for Dad on the mic. Right. So we don't want to use euphemisms. We want to say, you know, age appropriate. And it's kind of one of the things I wanted to get to today. Is like we're trying to be as age appropriate as possible, so you know how to say what needs to be said at that age-ish, and how you can help, you know. And I think it's important that we let people understand that there are resources in order to do this. I think there's certain books that are fantastic, you know, The Invisible Strength. And this can be for pets, because sometimes pets are our first thing that die.
Oh, absolutely. That's such a sensory experience. Children get very connected to pets.
Well, we were going to talk about pets today, and I'm like, I can't right now. I can't. No, I mean, my point being is we switched subjects. We were going to talk about pets, and I'm like, you know, right now I'm coming up to an anniversary of it. I don't want to go there. So being able to use books that are age appropriate. So some resources they can find are like online. Like one of the ones I really like is Dougie Center outside of Portland. They have a lot of things online, age appropriate. Here's a list of books. Here's some things to do. This is what you do. Having a lot of people ask, should they come to the viewing or the funeral? I think first thing we have to do is look at the culture, you know, and if you're going to do it, let's come up with a plan. I have personal feelings about it. I think a child absolutely should be involved if it's culturally appropriate. Let them draw a picture to put in the coffin if that's what they're going to do, if that's the kind of service that they have. Be involved in whatever way. Let them have a choice of, you don't have to go up there if you don't want to. You can come sit back here and have a point person. This is who you go to. If you feel sad, if you feel scared, if you just don't want to go there, you come and go to, this is who you're coming to. You're coming to grandmom, or something like that. But have them have opportunity to be there because they're going to survive it.
Yes.
And if you hide it from them, I've had clients that I've worked with who've had years and years of nightmares.
Yeah.
Because when he was 9 years old and his sister died, who was a couple years younger, they would not allow him to go to the hospital to see her because she was really, really sick. So they didn't talk about it and they didn't let him go there. And then she died. They didn't let him go to the funeral. They never explained it to him. And then he started having nightmare after night, years and years of nightmares. We boiled it down pretty quick. And the theme, and I'll keep that confidential, but the theme had a lot to do with reflecting what was going on. And then that reflection, like we did something with that so he could confront his parent. And I don't mean confront, like argue. I mean, just approach his parents and say, this is how I felt about this. And I'd love to say all my interventions work this great. They don't always work this great. Majority of the time, it takes a little bit longer. But this landed, and and it was a beautiful communication between him and his parents, who were really open to him. And the nightmare stopped.
That's phenomenal.
That was phenomenal. But it goes to show you, like, again, people can have, you guys can all have opinions about this, and you're going to have opinions about it, and that's because this is an opinionated topic.
That means you're a person.
It means you're a person. And if your family's not going to do that, it's not. But at least still communicate age appropriate wise what's okay. But when people ask me if it's okay, and in that culture it's something that's okay, and the way they understand their culture, it's okay, then my answer is always yes, but let's come up with a plan. Have a plan before you go into it.
I think it's just always a bad idea to keep kids in the dark about whatever it is. You can lie to kids, you can. They're sponges, and they know the truth.
And they see it.
And they're gonna pick it up.
They're gonna pick it up.
You can't lie around grief. You can't lie around trauma. You can't lie around these changes in their life and their habits and their routines. They're going to see it in you. They're going to see it in the changes in their life. And if you don't give them information to run off of it, they're professional imaginers. Like, they're just going to go wild and they can make bigger monsters than grief or the reality ever was. That's where all of these big nightmares are going to come from, and these big fears. They're going to build up huge, emotionally based, somatically based, fear-based concepts of this big scary thing in their life that they had no information about, that they just kind of had to live and go through, because you can't stop experiencing things.
Right.
So you just are kind of pushed through it, and everybody's like, you're fine. And you are not. And you're screaming about it and raging about it, or you're slowly isolating and burying it and dissociating from it. But either way, it's a mystery, and you're coming up with your own answers. And it's typically worse than what the reality is, because you make the scariest things
that
in your
happens
own
as
reality.
Adults.
Oh, yeah. You're your harshest critic.
Yeah.
And so that child is going to make something so much scarier.
I just did 2 podcasts with 2 different, like, super amazing people who talk about unanticipated grief, traumatic grief, and that kind of thing. And we talk about the interrupted stories and not, these narratives that are not cohesive. And we will fill in the blanks. We are not, we don't live in statistics. We live in stories. And if we're not having a full story, we will fill in the blanks. And I've definitely done that myself. Sometimes you're not going to have the answers. And that's a big issue, because
That's a very big
you have to learn
point.
it is. And then you have to learn how to live without a cohesive story, right?
Yeah.
So I guess maybe we can, because I'll keep going on this, and I think we're going to have to I want to come back to adolescence at some point. I mean, we haven't even gotten there, but
we
not
haven't even
today.
got up into the...
No.
It's a different beast, too, when you get into the teens, because then you get a lot more of them truly coming into their own identity.
Yes.
And it's a lot more of that active rebellion that can get mean.
Oh yeah, and we'll come back to it.
Retaliatory. Up before then,
which is already
up until like about 12, for the most part, the child is either very much on your side in it, or like very much clinging to you as the support person. Like teen is where they start to rebel against comfort.
Oh,
they go, I can be mine.
Oh, I've got 3, well, 2 now, because the other one finally emerged into his 20s. But I remember going through all of this. It's like, I hate you, leave me alone, blah blah blah. What's for dinner?
Yo,
you know what's for dinner? You better go out hunting, because I ain't giving you shit.
You better go find a rat.
You better go. You better figure out how to go grow your own corn, because I am not buying you nothing. Figure it out. God, I'm not cut out for it.
It's so funny because it reads as entitlement, and they don't make that connection. They don't even realize.
So
that
we're
they're
so
doing
going to
it.
do a topic. We're going to do one on that.
Yeah, teens is their own beast. They deserve their own podcast. Children are different.
Oh, we are. So 2 things then.
Yeah.
This or this.
That.
See, I learned. What are 2 things that caregivers can do? Like really do. You said presence.
Yeah.
I heard that, because we want the kid to feel secure, which could be hard if somebody's grieving too, because they may be feeling their attachment system's already been disorganized as a result of the loss. But what are 2 other things that people can do?
Listen to them.
Okay.
They'll tell you. It'll come out. It'll come out in their creative play. It'll come out in their art and their creative self-expression and all of those little languages that like only kids have, that imagination world.
Okay.
You just got to kind of listen for it. It's almost like they'll want to scream it, but it'll be through the interactions these 2 dolls will have, where one fades away and never comes back, and now this one has to find ways to survive and make it through and get out of that lava. Yeah. Really stay so
where did
curious.
This one go? Oh, that doll went over there. Well, what's happening with this doll now? That kind of thing. Like, just ask questions.
So curious.
Don't have to fix
Why?
it. There's no fixing it.
Nothing is wrong.
Grief. Nothing is wrong.
And they're in imagination land.
And
if that doll
natural.
burns up and dies and then is eaten by a big old dragon and like then continues to suffers a million other tragedies, then that is what that doll is going through.
Gotcha.
And why? What is going on? How does that doll feel in that moment?
Right.
What is happening with them? How are they going to get out of that?
Is that in? Where do you feel that in your body? Do you feel weird anywhere in your body?
Oh, and then you get the little gingerbread men out, and they can draw it and represent it, and the little things they draw to represent it are so
there's
unique.
another thing that they can do.
Have them draw it out on, or even like playing it out with the doll kind of a thing. Like it can all be so.
Yeah.
Find creative ways to connect with it. Let them tell their stories. Let them make things out of clay and make little figurines and interactions, or even sceneries. Like even if it's a family of animals interacting. Kids are running off of what they know. All of that imaginative play is them processing what they're experiencing.
Okay. What do you think about those workbooks that are out there that are accessible to anybody? Like, creative interventions for bereaved children. Like that's one that I have, right? And you flip through it, and there's some really cool stuff in there. Cool.
I enjoy a lot of those.
Okay.
I haven't really,
but I mean, not as a therapist, but as
an independent, 100%.
Okay.
Oh,
what about groups?
In groups?
What do you think about groups?
Oh, bringing them to groups? Please. Children need social engagement.
Okay.
Let them be around other kids and let that healing take place. Them forming their own bonds and their own attachments, they're going to find almost what they're missing from that caregiver in other relationships. And it can be from peers. Okay. So maybe mom was the one who always did the play with them, and now they need a friend to fill that role. Maybe dad doesn't have time to fill that role. Maybe there's someone, like no one else can step in that way. So friends and socialization is going to normalize their experience. It's going to give them another person to talk to and feel normal around and feel like they don't have to put on that show around. And it's going to give them another person to just bounce themselves and their own identity off of. We get to see how this child is interacting and living life. Do they have those losses? Maybe, maybe not. But I have another person to model in this moment.
Right. And you don't have to have a professional navigating that. And that's what a lot of people
fun
think.
Play. You let them
Yeah.
let them back into society. There's nothing, even if what they're bringing to you, and I feel like the biggest concern with that is what if the grief comes out in their play with the other kid, and what if this other kid kind of gets anxious or comes back and tells something.
It's going to happen,
right?
Yeah.
It's just okay to talk about. Then it becomes another discussion,
Right.
and I just don't let that scare you out of it. Like, this is an okay thing to talk about. Death happens to us all. It's going to come. You not talking about it with your child does not prepare them any better. Your child is aware of it now. And so all we can do is give them the education, give them the information, and let them integrate it.
So do you feel, and I guess this, I'm going to let this be my last question. I keep saying that, but how would a caregiver or somebody know when maybe professional, like a professional intervention of somebody who specializes in grief, because people will say, because they've had lots and lots of grieving clients, that they specialize in grief, and they don't know that they don't specialize in grief, and they're still running around with stages of grief. And here's the thing.
No stages.
There's no stages,
There's
but
no stages.
but I mean, the thing is, we're not teaching people. So it's not, I really do not think that this is a fault in each clinician. I think this is a fault in our system.
I think it needs to be reevaluated in the K-CREP, because the fact that I got exposed to it at all was a blessing of Rachel Brandoff at Jefferson. Yeah, like
then,
bringing it in, making it a part of development. She made it a part of that lifespan.
I think that that's one of the main reasons why in all of my professional presentations, like internationally, like the shock that people have about, oh, wait a minute, there's meaning reconstruction, there are phase theories, because we're not teaching people. And this impacts their work not only with adults, but definitely with children. It's of no fault of anybody's other than the system, the educational system, and the mental health system failing mental health professionals and teachers and administration, and failing to let us know that there is something, like, this is not correct anymore. This is old. This is old. And what else do we do? So now you can say, oh, that's old. And it's like, okay, well, great. Now what? Okay, well, great. Now we can do that. Okay, thank you. And this is the whole reason why we do this damn podcast is because we're trying to make sure we get that out there. Okay. So how would a person know that maybe professional intervention with somebody who understands grief, because grief can become prolonged, and now you've got somebody who has grief and trauma that have yet to become anything other than still very acute grief that is not moving forward over time. I'd love to wave a magic wand and whatever, but how do people know when they need help?
Intensity of those behaviors.
But not at the beginning. But not at the beginning.
What do you mean?
In other words, a loss just happened. We're not worried about the intensity at the beginning there, because it would be intense naturally.
Oh, it's natural. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's fair. Okay. That's fair. Okay, yeah. Like immediately post-loss. Right. If it's something that you want to engage in, I'm never going to say no. I don't think it's ever really a bad idea. Okay. The intensity will be very intense immediately after loss. If that starts to kick up again, like if you have that loss experience, say at 1, and you start to see it kick up around that 3-4 age when they start to go back into school, because those routines are kicking up that old trauma, that might be a time to invest in more professional kind of help, where like if they're really struggling in new transitions, can't get into school this year, I can't get them to adjust to their new daily routines, I can't get them to sports on time, I can't get them to listen to directions at home, they've gone from obedient to disobedient. Aggressive. Okay. Like, not beyond that childhood play of rough and tumble, like with intention. They're aggressive with the intent of, I want to hurt this person. Intense depression, sadness, like just full disengagement. Full disengagement. Okay. Please get help. That's you're just flirting with an area of dissociation where I think they're going to get disconnected from their emotions if dissociation persists. And then that makes me personally really nervous, because that just leads you into a very dangerous territory when you become an adult and you have no concept of what your emotional... It's like you float through life, and that one can really stay pervasive throughout development and into adulthood. You can have people that just get dissociated around 5, 6, 7 and stay disconnected from their
definitely
life.
I've seen that.
Because those are the ones that like run on autopilot. They get their job done. They go to work, they clock in, they make their money, they pay their bills. But they aren't invested in their life. Whatever social bonds they have are the ones that other people are bringing to them, kind of a thing.
Yeah, no joy, no attachments, just, and that can start
that
so
melancholy,
early.
that rutness. Ooh, that can start up in middle school. Right around that gang age, it can get really intense, especially with them comparing themselves to other people, and if they evaluate themselves as less than. That's definitely a time to bring them in for more professional help, is if you start to notice their self-concept change or weaken. Like if they get that, even if they weren't a terribly confident kid, just like more of that, they have an average amount of confidence and they believe in themselves, but they understand, no one's perfect. If that starts to dip and wane and they start to really get down on themselves, be that inner critic.
Self-harm.
Self-harm.
Because that can be early. And I do want to point out...
That comes out very young.
It does. I do want to point out, sometimes kids understand death way earlier, and those tend to be those children who are dealing with their own life-threatening diseases. When they have leukemia and they go to the hospital and they're getting sick and they're getting chemo and all their hair is falling out.
You're feeling it, yeah.
They're feeling it, they're seeing it, people are talking about it. They tend to be surrounded by people who can talk about it, teach families how to talk about it. But
they're just inundated in hospice care
they are.
Still.
Oh, yeah. So they understand, they'll go through these processes faster. And they do. And research supports that hands down.
Oh, yeah. It's that visceral, real experience that you can't.
They're looking at their own
shake
mortality.
or deny, and they're feeling it. They're really experiencing that active illness, and it's such a different way than taking a child that same age and having their parent go through that kind of treatment. They can see it, and they are very much a part of it, and they very much feel their own feelings, but they do not understand the concept of this coming to an end.
Right. Although I do know from the research anyway, from what I've seen, and when I've done rounds over at Children's Hospital in San Diego, I remember them talking about the doctors being like, they know what death is. They know that's it.
There is an inherent death drive in us all. There's this inherent, at birth you understand to some level of degree.
Or we wouldn't have survival instincts.
Yeah. Yeah. It wouldn't be when what is it when you lean the baby forward or backwards and they do the grasp? That's like one of those developmental tests.
I've never had one of them little things popped out of my body. No, that looked way too painful.
Yeah, no, it's one where they lean them back or they try to tip them upside down and your body will from birth.
There is. And my sister had a kid. I was there when she had it. I was like, nope, not happening.
Horrifying.
Guy, women are bad. We're badass. What we are able to do with our bodies.
I remember when they showed us in high school the birthing video, and even from that, me and my friend both being like, we're never doing that.
No, never.
And now she's an OBGYN. So she facilitated it, and I was like, what happened there?
Well, she can at least help other people do it, but she doesn't.
She was like, I guess I'll make it easier. I was like...
So some of the other things that we want to tackle in future episodes, because I think so much more came up here than I anticipated.
We unlocked a few here.
So just a couple. So, but I also want to say for those viewers who are, if you're on YouTube and you're seeing this, because we're on all the Apples,
all the medias.
Yeah, all the things. But, put down in the comment section any topic here that you are interested in seeing more about, or your thoughts about anything that we've talked about, any questions that we might have. We do monitor and read all of those things. I personally go in and read it. So I know some of you guys are watching this on TikTok. I know there's YouTube, on Facebook. So if you're picking these up, you've got questions, or you want us to go and look into other things, write it in there. I'm paying attention. I'm there. Like, I'm very invested in this, and very lucky. So, and I don't have words to thank you enough for being
Absolutely.
so damn.
This is a
like,
pleasure.
You got this, man. We didn't even get to art. Forget it. We'll get into all the things, and we'll talk
I
about
could
animals
talk
next
for
time.
hours. This is like...
Yeah, well, clearly both of us could. So just thank you very much.
Absolutely.
And
thanks for having me.
Oh,
This
my
was so
pleasure.
exciting to come in and talk about.
Such a pleasure, such a pleasure. And all right, you guys, well, thank you so much for joining us. And just remember, it takes challenge to wake the power to heal.
Thanks for listening to Phoenix Rising with Dr. Z. If this episode helped, subscribe and share it with someone who needs it. We'll see you next time.